into a speed build of Starfire Beach. So the idea of this was to create a town on a pier. So as you can see, I made the pier quite small, but it does get extended a lot, and there's lots of different levels, which gives it a lot of character. So to start with, as you can tell, I just used foundations for the base of it before I started getting a little bit too over the top with the different levels. And if you want to do this, it's really simple. As long as there is one square in between one foundation and the next, you can change the levels. So this does go on further to add extra levels, which are made the same way as bridges are made. I do plan on doing a tutorial for this very soon. So the basic idea of that is that you build a room, and then you can copy that room by selecting the room, copying it and pull it on top, and then you delete the room below, and this then gives you the chance to move it up and down. Very basic when you think about it. And with the bridge, if you look into it, it counts as the second floor. So that bridge there, it counts as the second floor. So if I was on the first floor, I wouldn't be able to see it, and then if I went up to the second floor, I would then be able to see it. So with this build, there are a lot of levels, as I've already said. However, when you get to the fourth floor, as you can see there, that basically, because I had to pull it up that high, I couldn't then put a wall on it. So this obviously restricts you to being able to use fencing and half walls. So ultimately, I was not really sure what I was doing at this point. I just kept adding levels. I knew I wanted it to be a community lot. I knew I wanted it to have a lot of character and lots of different levels. And there was an idea floating around of having like a high ladder, just so the Sims could jump off it. So like they can jump off and go and swan dive into the water. And so that was sort of like the basic idea of all these extra levels. So I've also adding a couple of extra little bits in the front, bringing it forward, and you can see a very quick build of a bridge that I was talking about. So just creating the stairs, etc. And this area with the circle, that was always planned to be a restaurant. And we've moved on to this area, and I had the idea of a town to start with, and I was going to put retail in it and a few other bits in the bar, etc. So anyway, the idea was that I needed a clock tower. I really took quite a lot of time to know what I wanted to do. I really, as you can tell, I really wanted to add the 2 different spandrels that you get in Island Living. It didn't go as well as I had hoped, but I stuck with the circular ones anyway rather than the heart one. It gives a different vibe to just some architectural detail. So this area here, it's a bit small and it was a bit complicated to make, just because I really wanted a perfect circle going around the clock tower. And okay, I really could not get a perfect circle. It ended up like an oval. I'm obviously having trouble speaking yet again today. So we create a little pier that, you know, you can take your boats to, and it kind of just adds to that sort of community that you can go out and then all of a sudden be like, hey, let's stop over here. So kind of at this point, I had no ideas about what level was going to be what and everything that was happening. I was getting a few ideas, but ultimately I just kind of kept building. And I wanted a nice sort of entrance on it as well. So now we go into actually adding the walls and some decoration apparently. So this area becomes a bar and this one is the restaurant, so at least that didn't change. Now the underneath, it looks a little bit funky at the moment, and I have done this before in one of my other island builds. But the idea was that there's going to be a fountain underneath there, and the steps go up and down. So your Sims can go and enjoy the fountain and chill over there. Maybe even take the little floaties over there as well. With the roofing, because of the different shapes, it was a bit of a struggle to get the roofs on, and because it was so big, especially with this one here, I couldn't fit it on, and then I didn't know what to do. I was like, no, it's meant to be like this. But ultimately, I made it into an open area, almost like a little observation deck. And as you could tell, there was lots of walls there. For some reason, it didn't notice that room. It didn't recognize it as a room. So, trying to be clever, I tried to make it recognize the room in order to put the roof on top by adding lots of lines to then create smaller rooms. And to be honest, don't do it, guys. It's so much. Sometimes it works well, but it really is so much easier to just sit there and be like, yeah, I'll just draw around the room again. It's sometimes trying to be clever does not help. It does not work at all. So I always struggle with putting wood in these types of builds just because there's so much of it. I look at it and I just look, oh my gosh, it's just too much. Is it too dark? Is it too bright? What do I do? I change it into something lighter, and this gives it more of the sort of island vibe to it, because it was dark and it was too dark. And placing those fences, I fell in love with them. I was hoping to cover the whole thing in them. I just loved the look. It made it look a little bit more rustic and not too perfect with those little fences. But unfortunately, that did not help. And you can find them in the live edit objects, and they are under. I've got the picture of the pack in my head, but I can't remember the name. But it is from. I forgot it was there, and then I forgot. Of course I did. Outdoor retreat. That's the one. Yeah, outdoor retreat. So, oh, fireworks. So, from this point, you can tell that I'd done something different there with the fencing. I got the idea that we need somewhere to dance, we need somewhere to chill, and as we've got the smaller bit with the bar, why not have like a little dance floor here? So I sort of tried to give it a slightly different vibe to the rest of the build in adding the fence. That fence is the one that sort of glows, which is from the Get Famous pack. So if it was dark, you would be able to sort of see a nice little glow in it, and there's several different colours of it as well. So we've moved on to the clock. Now, I kind of just found it in BB Move Objects, and I placed it there. And I was like, I'm going to struggle to find it later, so let's just grab it. So, unfortunately, it didn't work well. I tried to pull it in, it was too big, and then when I made it smaller, it didn't fit in the right space that I needed it to. So I actually settled with these other lights and lights. Oh my gosh. I knew what was coming next, but I forgot what I was talking about. So I settled with the other clock, which is a good size still. It doesn't have the whole 4 sort of sides, which is what really drew me to it, because I wanted that sort of look that made it look like you could see it from every side. So we've added a lot of decoration onto the bottom of the restaurant, and that is all from, oh my gosh, I am not having a good day at naming these today. Jungle Adventure. I love the way that the island living, jungle adventure, and some of the get together sort of items, they just go together. They're definitely jungle living, and I am getting them confused. It's island living. Oh my gosh. Yes. Anyway, I hope you guys knew what I meant, because this is definitely amateur hour today. So we've moved on to the kitchen. I haven't, kitchen, restaurant, definitely know what I'm doing, I promise. So I moved on to this now, and I didn't add in the host station or the waiter station for the specific reason that I wasn't sure whether it was definitely what I wanted to do. I wanted this to be an area for them to eat and etc. But at the same time, with so much going on in this lot, I left it as a generic plot. So if you wanted to turn it into more of a nightclub, you could do that. You could have the other part and then turn this into something else. I'm not entirely sure what. But at the same time, I have actually never tried to build more than one community lot in one lot. So with this having a restaurant, a bar, and technically like a little nightclub as well, I didn't know how it would work. Would then they all go there and not move over there? And in all honesty, I haven't done it in game before, so that I was a little bit hesitant. So this is another sort of little community area where we're adding the little balloons. I think the idea for this was more just to relax and chill out and actually bring them together more, hence the barbecue and the bonfire. That as much as there's quite a few activities based around, that ultimately that was the area where you would meet people and socialize. And even though I said people, I meant Sims, of course I did. If I could have this lot in real life, then yeah, I would definitely go there to meet people. So just added a small sort of fountain style. As much as I would have loved to go over the top, at the same time, there's so much going on in this area, especially with the decoration. I don't think it would have worked well. And we've added the easels. It just gives the Sims a reason to go in there, and it gives them a nice environment to do that. So as you can see, because it went past very quickly, at this stage, rather than decorating too much, I kind of kept getting distracted because I didn't know what I was putting where. So if I thought, oh, actually, I'm going to put this over there, I do it almost as a marker so I remember what was actually going to go there. So this little area is somewhere for your Sims to sort of sell their items that they've made and created. And this is what I decided to do rather than a retail shop or anything. Obviously retail is shop, I meant community lot. So instead I added these so our Sims can come together and make their own little sale area. And I added lots of random objects, to be honest, for the clutter. I wanted it to look almost like they were the objects that were being sold. So we've added the greenery on two of the little areas to add there's not much greenery, and it's a nice little place to chill and bring our Sims together again. So yet again, we also quickly, because I'm too busy talking about something else and lacking behind today, there was like a little library area as well. Obviously it's not actually a library, it doesn't have a computer, and there's only a few books, but it just makes it a nice community area to read. This here is my epic creation of this whole build. If you have seen Falling Water, and maybe just by that you know where this is going, you may not have seen it, but that's fine. I hope you are going to be in awe and like amazed by this idea. So you already saw the swing, and I have a thing for having swings up high and sort of having them so they go over the edge of objects so you can sort of swing above them in the sky. And yeah, it's a lovely idea. I love the idea, and we needed some connectors there. Because I got too happy about my idea, I kind of got distracted by what was happening. So I didn't want to have these just floating. As cool as it would look, it definitely looks better having it attached. So I've made some of the, I don't know what they're called, but the triangle parts, they are in the build mode, and there is like a little ledge that goes under the window. If you click on that, that gives you decoration, and it is one of those decorations. So with the floor, we just saw there was the glass floor. and it kind of had a pattern over the top. So the glass floor came from Island Living, and then the pattern, it came from one of the dance floors. Now with the dance floors there was quite a few different sizes, so I believe I stuck with a 4x4 sized one. And ultimately I used one that had the pattern on it. And then this pattern, I was expecting it to show sort of like so I couldn't see the glass at all. But instead, it actually worked really well, and you could kind of see this like shade of it going through it, and I fell in love with it. I just absolutely loved the way it looked. So now we're adding the bar area that goes up from the dance area. I mean, it's not necessarily a good idea to have it this high, and it's definitely, I mean, you're going from a bar and then you're going to go climb up a bit further to go on a swing that hangs off the edge. I mean, I hope you guys aren't afraid of heights, but at the same time, I mean, at least they can jump from there. If they fall, it's into water. So I will count that as my health and safety for the whole area. That it's got water, so just jump off, you'll be fine. So finally adding the bathrooms. We've got to have bathrooms, obviously. I kind of kept it very plain and simple. Nothing exciting to really look at there, to be honest. But this is my favourite part. I go into basically a frenzy with all of the decoration. I'm like, this is a community lot. It's going to be so fun and in your face, and it's going to be colourful. And kind of when I started, I didn't know when to stop, but I strongly believe that I didn't go too far with the decoration. As you can see, some ideas did not work as well. I couldn't get the I don't know, I was about to call them a dangling decoration. I couldn't get the dangling decoration to go quite where I wanted. And then when I did, it didn't quite look right. I mean, if I could have made it so it was longer without going wider, that would have been perfect. Because then I could have had it like dangling the whole way down into the water. But instead, I used the stars, and when you zoom out of it, it kind of looks like they could be shells, and it gives it sort of like a bit more of a beach vibe. And I went crazy on this set of stairs. Very frustrating, but when I get an idea in my head, that is it. So getting all of these in the right place, sometimes they were too far forward, and then I had to try and do it all over again. I mean, there was a few times where I was like, why did I decide to do this? We don't need this decoration. It looks good. But it does look good. I'm glad I stuck with it. It took me a lot longer than you can probably tell. I mean, makes it look so simple putting a speed build up, and actually just putting one piece of that on it stressed me out. It probably took 5 minutes for some of them just because they wouldn't go in the right place. So in order to do the inside decoration, I had to move that floor with everything on and move it out of the way, because I just couldn't squeeze it in, to be honest. I couldn't see what I was doing. So the bonus of having move objects on is I could completely basically get rid of that floor and then come back, and I only had to readjust a few objects. I really wanted to put some banners and attach them to these lights, but they were sort of stuck out either a bit too far, or they were a little bit too underneath, or they kind of completely crossed over into the lights. And then we kind of come into the entrance area, and then I get a little bit like, let's just decorate more, because I don't know what to do with that yet. Now with these, it's kind of weird how it happened, but I was trying to decorate on the sort of little sail area, and I moved one of the rugs off and sort of just placed it on the pier, but then it kind of shoo up underneath it. So it was on the pier and off the pier at the same time, and I absolutely just fell in love with it. I was like, oh, I can add colour into the water. I can add flowers and shapes into the water. And so I got a little bit carried away with that idea. But it really does enhance just that little corner. It just really brightened it up. And to be honest, I am going to use it everywhere. I absolutely love it. So lastly, I don't know why I didn't do it while I was doing everything else, but I was just so into trying to figure out what was going to go where I didn't add many lights whatsoever, and I got really confused. So I ended up going around adding lots of lights afterwards, trying to make them stand out a little bit. I love the one that's in the clock tower. You might not have seen it. It's the one where you sort of have the birds in different stages of flight, and I kind of tried to do it so it looked like it was slowly flying out of it, so it sticks out of the tower a little bit. And there we also have a little camping area, just to kind of, the whole idea of this community lot was to bring our Sims together and to have a bit of a party. So this area was quite plain, so I went on with a bit of decoration, maybe a little bit too far. Thank you so much for tuning in and everything. Please like, share, leave a comment, leave me a suggestion. As always, I do have a list. I did mention it in my last video, but there is a list on the discussion, and it's a comment that's by me just to tell you what's coming up next. And what other builds are on my list as well. And so you can keep an eye on a build suggestion that you suggested, or maybe just one you're interested in. You can see whereabouts I'm progressing to it, especially because some of these builds take up to 3 weeks, definitely with the bigger builds. Anyway, thank you. Have a good day, have a good life. Try and do something positive today.